Sewing of pleated nightie. In the previous session, we cut the fabric pieces for the pleated nightie. We will now sew the fabric pieces together. First, we will sew the bodice piece, then we will pleat the skirt piece and attach it to the bodice part. Attach the sleeves, finish the side seams and the bottom hem. At the end of the session, you will be able to sew fabric pieces together for a pleated nightie. Let's first familiarize with the tools and materials required for sewing a pleated nightie. They are cut-out fabric pieces, fabric for facing, lace, matching thread, sewing machine, thread trimmer, closures or hooks, and measuring tape. First, let's sew the neckline of the front bodice piece. Take one of the bodice pieces and place the fabric for facing on its right side. Sew both the pieces together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Please be careful while sewing along the curves. Now cut out the extra facing fabric piece. Snip at the corners and bend at the curves so as to get a clean finish. Now fold the facing fabric piece to the wrong side and top stitch along the neckline. Sew another stitch 1/4 inch apart from the top stitch. Since we need an opening in the front bodice piece, we will cut along the center fold line so that we get 2 pieces of the front bodice. Now let's see how to sew the opening. For that, first measure the length of the openings. Here it is 6.5 inches. Now from the remaining piece of fabric, cut the fabric piece which is 1.5 inches wide and length 2 times 6.5 inches plus 2 inches, which comes to 15 inches. Cut out the fabric strip. Make 2 equal halves of this fabric strip. Now place one of the fabric strip on top of one of the bodice piece with the right sides together. Fold the top end of the strip and join them together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Turn the bodice and top stitch. Now fold the strip inwards and sew all around the fabric strip. This will be the piece which comes on top of the opening where our closures have to be fixed. Now for the other side, join the fabric strip to the bodice like we did earlier. Now fold the strip as shown here. Mark the points where we need the slots for closures. Start sewing along the fabric strip, leaving a triangular opening at the marked slots. Now join the 2 pieces at the bottom. Cut out the extra fabric. Now we will cut cross pieces like we did for jabla as facing for back neck. Join the cross piece to the back neck. Fold the cross piece outwards and top stitch. Fold the cross piece inwards and sew and fix the facing piece to the back neck piece. Now we will join both the bodice pieces with the shoulder seam with a half-inch seam allowance. Do a double stitched seam. Fold over and press the fold. Thus we have finished sewing the bodice piece for the nightie. Now we will attach lace for embellishing the nightie. Make sure that the lace is placed equidistant from all sides and corners of the neckline. Sew and fix the lace to the bodice. Now let's see how to pleat the skirt piece. Take one of the half-folded skirt piece and align it with the back bodice piece, leaving a half-inch seam allowance. Make a small notch at the point where it aligns with the center notch of the back bodice. Now open the skirt piece. These are the 2 points where the gathering pleats come in between. Now for the front skirt piece, we need to pleat on both the sides. We will give wide pleats at the center. Now attach the skirt piece to the bodice with a half-inch seam allowance. Top stitch on the right side of the fabric. Repeat the same for the other side also. Thus we have attached the skirt piece to the bodice piece. Next we will attach sleeves to the bodice. First sew the hem of the sleeve. Then attach the sleeve to the bodice. Sew both the side seams with a double stitch seam. Finally sew a double folded bottom hem. Finally sew and fix the closures. It's very important to verify the various aspects of quality of the finished product. So let's do a quality check to ensure that our nightie is of good quality. Check if the seams at the armhole are clean. Check if the seams are even and parallel and are of the right measurement throughout. Ensure that the bottom hem and the side seam joining is neat. Finally, see if the product has been ironed properly. In this session, we have learned how to sew the fabric pieces for a pleated nightie. Before we conclude, let's take a look at the key points involved in sewing a pleated nightie. Step 1. Sew the neckline of the front bodice. Step 2. Sew the opening of the front bodice. Step 3. Sew facing for the back neckline. Step 4. Join the front and back bodice at the shoulder. Step 5. Pleat the skirt piece. Step 6. Attach the sleeves. Step 7. Sew the side seams. Step 8. Sew the bottom hem. Step 9. Check the quality of the finished product. With that, we've come to the end of the session.